Hey everybody, it's Kelly with Inky Hands Warm Hearts. I'm so happy to be here with you today. So grateful for you wanting to spend time with me and learn from me. So thanks so much for joining. I am with you today to show you this really awesome card. I am using the Daisy Garden background stamp, which is an amazing background stamp. It is just one stamp. It's as large as this case, basically. And I'm pairing it today with the Slim Sayings. I'm going to be using this Happy For You, and I'm also putting it together with the Basic Pattern Decorative Masks. So check those out. They're only available for a limited time. They are going to be retired on May the 2nd is the last day to get them of 2022. So, but they are called Basic Pattern Decorative Masks, and they are linked in the description below. So check that out. We're going to be using the polka dots. So let's move this stuff out of the way. You can see the polka dots back there, and we will get started. All right. So for our card here, we have a couple layers. We have a piece of Granny Apple Green that is 5.5 by 8.5, and I've scored it at 4 1/4 down the center there. And I am going to actually fold it in half. I'm going to grab my points and put those two corners together, and then I'm going to use my bone folder and I'm going to press it towards that score mark and really get it to lay nice and flat. Okay, so this is going to be our front. And now you see I have another piece. I have Granny Apple Green on Granny Apple Green. And so that piece is a piece that I have chosen to use the layering circle dies. I don't know if you guys have these, but if you don't, definitely get your hands on them. They're amazing. I've used the largest circle here, and that's what I have chosen to do to cut out this center. So what happens is you lay your die on your die cut machine right in the center of your cardstock, and then you crank it through the machine, and then this comes out. You can use this for another project, and this is what we're actually going to be using to attach on top. Now behind it, we're going to use a 3.5 by 3.5 inch piece of fresh freesia cardstock. And when I place that behind there, you see that pop of color that you have? That's what we're going to use to do our dots. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to start with the dots first. Get those out of the way. So let me move everything here to the side, and we're going to grab a scrap piece of paper, and I'm going to just lay my little piece of fresh freesia down onto it. We are going to put these dots onto my cardstock. You can see it's overlapped, and I'm going to grab my blending brush. So here's my blending brush. I'm going to use the Fresh Freesia ink pad. I'm just going to brush it around. And we're picking up that Fresh Freesia color. I'm going to hold it in place because I really don't want it to move. I'm going to start in this corner, and I'm going to work my little Fresh Freesia color down. I'm going to try not to shift it. I'm going to grab some more ink. I'm going to push down again, and hopefully it didn't move on me. I think it did move slightly, but it's okay. We can have that psychedelic look. So I'm gonna go ahead and work this corner and down. I'm gonna kind of put my finger there to hold it in place. And I'm gonna go ahead and try and grab a little bit more fresh freesia, deposit it onto my mask here. You can also tape down the mask. I'm just being lazy. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and put that away, and we lift up. There are our dots, and you can see we have kind of an ombre effect, which is what I have back here. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean this. I like to use just a piece of baby wipe. You can also use your chamois if you want to. I keep baby wipes next to me because I tend to be super messy, and it's just a great way to clean my hands. But I'm gonna just run this over the top. And see, this color is fairly light, so I don't really concern myself too much about getting it all over my hands, but I do like to flip it over to the other side just in case any ink got on that section. So this mask can get put away now. We're done with it. and our scrap paper can get tossed. And I'm gonna go ahead and toss our baby wipe as well. Put that away. So now we have our little fresh freesia piece that's going to go behind our window. Okay, it's pretty cool, isn't it? So now we need to make our flower. That's our main, you know, image that's on our card. You would never know that it's a background stamp, would you? The words are from Slim Sayings. We're going to use the happy for you. So let's go ahead and do our words. We're going to take our black tuxedo black memento ink pad. I'm going to ink that up. When it's a large stamp, I like to bring the ink pad to the stamp. To me, it just, I don't know, it's just better. You can do however you want, but when you have a smaller ink pad like this, I like to bring the ink pad to my stamp when I have a large stamp. I'm going to bring this down here. Hopefully you guys can see that we're in camera. And I'm just going to press this down onto my piece of basic white cardstock. And there is my sentiment, happy for you. I'm going to go ahead and clean that off. I'm going to use my chamois this time. And you can see my chamois has much love, but it does clean super awesome. It does get stained, but trust me, it cleans like a dream. You will love yours. Love, love, love it. Okay, let's move on. So now we're going to do our daisy, and we're going to use the same ink pad. I'm going to put this off to the side here, and I'm going to bring in my Stamparatus. So I have my daisy stamp attached to my Stamparatus, and I'm going to go ahead and ink. Move the scrap paper out of the way. I'm going to ink this up. I like to rub my pad on top of my large stamp and then tap to make sure that all the ink gets deposited. We're going to go ahead and give that a close, and I'm using a piece of 5 1/4 by 4, and I'm 5 1/4. Oh my goodness, I can't even think right now. 5 1/4. Oh my gosh, 5 1/2 by 4 1/4. I cannot even think today, guys. We're going to place that down. And we're going to make sure that it covers nicely. And then we're going to bring our stamp over the top. And with my fist, I'm going to press down. And I'm really going to put pressure down. You can also use the base of your palm, whatever works for you. And I also like to go over each of these flower pieces by pressing my thumbs down over them. You can also stand up if you feel that you need to get more pressure. I'm going to take a little peek. That looks pretty awesome. Very happy with that. So let's go ahead and move that out of the way. I'm going to put my scrap paper back in here. All right. So now we are going to color our beautiful background. And we are going to use the fresh freesia and the granny apple green. I used the dark fresh freesia and the light granny apple green. So once you've colored them, the centers are going to go in the fresh freesia and all the leaves are going to go in the granny apple green. I'm going to move this out of the way. You're going to die cut it out, and then this is what you're going to have. Okay. Pretty awesome. Not pretty? I think so. So now you're going to decide what portion of that do you want to make your daisy. What part do you want to have pop out of your circle? Now the card that I made here, this is what was left over. So I used this section here to put right there. This is this section right here at the top. So I chose to use this third, but we could easily use this part. I'm going to show you. And you could tuck this one sticking out, and you could put that section. And that's what I think I'm going to do, actually. I really like it, but I did want to show you, you die cut, I keep saying die cut. You fussy cut this out. There's no die cut for this background stamp, so you fussy cut it out. And then I used an X-Acto knife to get in these sections, but you can also stick your scissor in there and cut those out or leave them white. So I'm actually going to do this card a little different. I'm going to put these daisies peeking out. So as you can see, since I'm going to add those, I'm going to get rid of this leaf right here. I don't want it to be in the picture. So I'm going to just cut that right out, just like that. Let's see what else we need to cut away. I want that daisy to kind of be by itself. I'm going to have this one popped out. I think that looks pretty awesome. I don't want too much to show because I definitely want those circles in the background to show. So maybe right there. So I'm going to trim a little bit of this flower away, and I'm definitely going to trim this section away right here. So I'm going to cut that off, and I'm going to just trim this small section of flower right out of there. So I'm just going to cut like this, and I want something to adhere. Let's slide it back in, but I don't want it to show. So see how I did that? That looks pretty awesome. This one's going to get tucked. I think that looks pretty great. All right, so let's flip this over. This is going to get attached onto our green piece. I'm going to grab my silicone mat. I'm going to bring it down. I'm going to hold this in place how I want it. And we are going to use our wet adhesive. So we're going to start here. I'm just going to hold these in place. Whoops. And I'm going to lift this section, and I'm just going to put glue where it's going to show. Hopefully you won't do like I just did and put too much there, but we're just going to run a little bit. You don't need much. This glue is real strong. And so we definitely want that to stick down. I'm going to grab that baby wipe here. I'm going to wipe a little bit of that glue off. All right. Perfect. And that has that section stuck. Now I'm going to go ahead and lift up this section. I'm just going to put a little bit of adhesive, and that will adhere this. And then I just have to put a tiny bit underneath this leaf, and then that will adhere that. Now the back is done. Now we're going to work on the front. So for the front, this daisy is sticking up. So we're just going to add a little circle of adhesive just to hold that down so it's not flapping around. And I think that looks pretty amazing. What do you guys think? Now, it looks like there's a tiny little bit here sticking out. So I'm going to kind of stick my scissor in there so that none of that is showing. And that looks pretty great. So now we're going to add dimensionals because this piece is going to be lifted up. And so I am just going to put dimensionals on the back of my card here. We definitely want that. And I want definitely one there and one here. And then I want to support this circle. So I'm going to put a few around this portion. And I definitely am going to put some behind these flower pieces like that. So that is quite a few dimensionals, but it's okay. It works out really, really well. And we are going to go ahead and lay this section where it's going to go. We're going to place this over the top without peeling the dimensionals and see how it looks. That looks pretty awesome. So now that we know where it's going to go, I'm going to peel this up and I'm going to grab a pencil. And I'm just going to make a line right up there and right down here. Now I'm going to lift up my piece. I'm going to put some wet adhesive behind it. and it's going to be attached onto my Granny Apple Green card base. And I just want to make sure that its top and bottom are right along there and that I have it kind of even on both sides. Doesn't have to be perfect because no one's going to see it and no one's going to see those pencil lines, so we don't have to worry about that. Now we can go ahead and pull the backs off of all of these fun dimensionals. I'm going to move in kind of an order here so that I make sure I get them all off. Whoops, that one I pulled too hard. There we go. All right, so now we just have to do the ones that are behind my hand here. I think that's all of them. So now this piece is going to get attached onto the front. We're going to leave a border all the way around. So don't press it down too hard. Just let it sit there and make sure that you have your even border. And when you're happy, you can push that into place. That looks pretty great, doesn't it? I really like this flower here, that it's different than this one. So see, with one background, you can get 2 cards. Now we're going to do our words, and we already stamped them, so we're just going to fussy cut those out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate them, and then I'm going to fussy cut them out. So I'm just going to take my scissor, I'm going to pivot around the word happy here. And it's really not that hard to fussy cut around a word. And I don't always do this. I just really felt like the flowers had been fussy cut, and I just felt like the words needed to be less cardstock behind them. So I didn't want to put them on a strip of cardstock. I just really wanted them to be delicate, which is why I decided to fussy cut them. And I also didn't want them to be in one long line. I wanted them to be stacked, kind of one on top of each other, how you can see on my card down there on my surface there on my table. So here is our happy. This one's going to go here. All right, let's do our 4. This one will be way quicker because it's such a small letter, a small word, right? And then we will do our U, which is also won't take very long because it's also a small one. So you can see that I'm moving my paper and not really my scissor, unless I have to move my scissor to add, to give more blade for it to cut. So once I run out of blade, like here, I'm gonna slide my blade up. But you can see I use most of that blade. Whoops, I got too far away there. Okay, I use most of that blade before I slide it. So we're almost done, and then we can glue these on. All right, there's our happy for you. Let's get rid of these scraps. We're going to attach that. Grab my silicone mat here. Now, I don't want this happy to just be sitting there, so I need it to touch part of that flower. So we'll make sure that it does. We're going to put a little bit on there and a little bit on that end. Let's grab my tweezers. So I'm going to make sure that it touches both sides here, that this is on there and that this is on my flower there. That looks pretty good. And then the for you will be completely covered in adhesive. So we will just run some of this wet glue behind it. Here's the 4. And here's the U. I think that looks awesome. What do you guys think? I think that looks pretty cool. And I like how you get both pieces. I may put a little strip of dimensional. I keep these edges, and I think I'm going to put a little strip back behind that happy word right there of dimensional so that it has some support. I'm going to pull that back. I'm going to have to pull those off with my fingers. Hopefully I can get them off. I have a hard time pulling the dimensionals off, which is why I use the take your pick tool. So let's go ahead and stick that back there behind the word happy. Yes, now it has some support. That looks awesome. So save your edges, guys, because those work when you're trying to use thin little strips. So that looks pretty great. So the finishing touch, of course, is the bling. We all love the bling, don't we? So these are the Pastel Pearls. They come in various shades from pink, purple, this grayish purple. And we're just going to use these freesia colored ones. And I'm just going to put 3 of them just in different spots on my card. I think that looks pretty good. I think I have some fuzzies or something. I don't know. Adhesive. Whoops. I didn't mean to pull that pearl off. Let's put it back on there. I hit it with my piece. There we go. It's on there good. Yeah, I had a little fuzz on there or something. I like to use an eraser to get those off. All right, so let's put away our pearls. I love the colors of them. Aren't they pretty? Let's move our mat and all of our tools off of my surface here. I hope that you've enjoyed watching me make this card. Don't forget how awesome you can use this entire background stamp to make 2 cards. Just add your little mask and your sentiment, the Daisy Garden, and the Some Sayings. Turns out fairly fabulous, right? There we go. A little vignette of what we've used. So I hope that you guys have enjoyed watching me. I certainly have enjoyed showing you what the process was and how to make this awesome card. I appreciate you guys being with me. Again, if you need anything, let me know. I am very grateful to have you on my channel, and if you stayed to the end, thank you so much. If you need a demonstrator, definitely hit me up. I'd be happy to help you out. If you need catalogs or help placing your first order, I'd be happy to do that. Please subscribe and you'll get notifications of when I post new videos. You can also share this video to your Pinterest so that you can find it later when you're ready to make a project. Give me a thumbs up and comment and let me know what you thought of the video. I'd appreciate that. Thank you again for watching. I'm so grateful to have you on my channel, and this is Kelly with Inky Hands Warm Hearts. Happy stamping!